Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit holybatcast.com or find us all over social media. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, just search for Holy BatCast. You will find us. If you love the show, you want to help support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. Big, huge thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. You make our lives easier. You make it better. And I got to give a new thank you to a new patron, Mr. Giuseppe Vicaretti. Giuseppe, thank you so much for becoming a patron. That is wonderful. You are amazing. You have the coolest profile pic that is both Batman and Spider-Man, because why not both? Why choose? Embrace both sides. So anyway, we do appreciate it. Huge thank you to you, Giuseppe. And again, huge thank you to all you guys out there who have done this. We know you can just keep listening for free, and that's fine. We appreciate you listening at all. But for anyone who's gone that extra step, it means the world to us. So thank you. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can check out all the other shows that are part of the network at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You know that. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me there too. But Twitter, Instagram, it's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, we're a couple days late, but we are going to discuss the brand new trailer for The Batman that dropped just a couple of days after Christmas. It was a late Christmas gift from WB to us, and I had a house full of family, which was wonderful and amazing, and I had a great time, but I had to wait for them to leave before we were going to record a podcast. I would just feel too shitty going, everybody go downstairs, I have a podcast to record. But they're gone now, so we can finally talk about the Batman trailer. Joining me for that is someone you haven't heard in ages. We've had a nice long break, but like any bad rash, he just keeps coming back. It's Brendan. Hey, Brendan, Happy New Year to my favorite rash.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's already 2022 here. It has been for 8 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow.
And, it's been shit so far.
Great, good. Something to look forward to.
Given that we lost an icon this morning or last night where you are. But look, it is great to be back. I think the last time I was on the show was September.
Holy crap.
Yeah, the last episode I did from memory was the review of the first part of The Long Halloween.
Wow.
So it's been a while. I blame fatherhood and you moving back to America. So.
Yeah, yep, those two things, they'll ruin it.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Me and Jamie have been able to reconnect, and that's been nice. Because he was the odd man out for 2 years.
It was. Look, and I have to be honest, it's been fun. It's been fun listening to you guys. And I have to be completely honest, before you introduce him, the person you're about to introduce, I had a blast listening to on his episode a few weeks ago too. I was like, this guy is nice people. And when you said he was going to be on this episode, I was like, oh, cool. Actually, I think from memory, I messaged you. I was like, is that the guy who was like super nice on the episode a few weeks ago? And you're like, yep, that's him. I'm like, cool.
So he is super nice on podcasts. Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay.
In real life, he's an asshole. He's the worst. But that's what I hear. Yeah, I hear he greets you with a kick in the nuts and a punch to the face. But on podcasts, he's wonderful.
That's factual, actually.
That's okay. I mean, we live two lives like Batman. Anyway, you just heard his voice. You did hear him recently, just a couple episodes ago, and he's back by popular demand, and also because I want to get more diverse voices when it comes to the Batman movie. And so he is back. It's Mr. Preston Willis. How you doing, Preston?
You guys are too sweet, man. I'm doing so well. I'm flattered in more ways than one to be on today's episode, considering it's been so long for you guys. I mean, I figured you'd want the room to yourself, so to speak, if you know what I'm saying. So happy to be here with you guys and talk about this trailer that, spoilers, I really enjoyed.
Good. Well, I mean, me and Brendan have been together for years now, and we're never afraid to bring in a third.
No.
All right, so I've just been added to the party. All right, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
The safe word is manscaped.
Speaking of Manscaped, you Brendan, you've been using your products, but you haven't had a chance to plug them.
I haven't, no. So I mean, look, I'll be completely honest. When you messaged me and said that this was happening, I was like, really? Okay. And then when you said they were going to send out a couple of products, I wasn't expecting much at all. I thought maybe a cream or a little trimmer or something, but they sent a lot of stuff. So I have to be honest. First of all, I'm very thankful to Manscaped for what they sent. That was very, very generous. But more to the point, I've actually really loved it.
Yeah.
Because I've never had to do like a sponsorship thing before, and I did have that thought of like, what if I don't like the stuff? Do I have to just lie and everything? But thankfully, and I'm not just saying this, I've used the stuff from the day I received it, and I really, really like it to the point that I've ordered more because I ran out of one of the products that I'd been using quite a bit. So yeah, I'll be completely honest here and upfront. You guys know me, and given the conversation we had before we started recording, this won't surprise Preston. But you know, I live in Brisbane in Queensland, and at this time of year it's hot and humid, and you know, the boys get pretty sweaty during this time of year, and the ball deodorant has been a revelation. I'm not kidding. Like I put it on of a morning, I put it on of a night, before, you know, after I've had my shower and everything, and I've never felt better. It's fantastic.
Fresh as a summer's breeze.
It is. And look, I'll be completely honest too, like a term that one of my favorite comedians uses for, you know, for humidity and stuff is the term swamp ass. And you know, a little bit between the crack doesn't hurt either. It's
oh my God.
I'm not kidding.
This is the most glowing endorsement they could have ever received.
I genuinely, I use it twice a day, and I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. I'm not exaggerating or anything. That's just the honest to God's truth. The trimmer that they gave us, again, completely honest, I have not been using it in the downstairs region, because I did a little reading up on it, and I've been using it as a beard trimmer, just to sort of keep the stubble at a great length. And you know, that's the other thing too. Like obviously it's Manscaped, but you don't have to use it on your downstairs region. You know, the trimmer and stuff. I've never used a better beard trimmer. It's fantastic, and we got the stuff in, was it early November, Andy?
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't had to charge it once.
Yeah.
And I use it every second or third day just to keep the stubble at a nice, respectable length. And I haven't had to charge it once. The one I was using prior to receiving this one, I had to charge like sometimes during a shave, like it just wouldn't hold its charge. Whereas I won't name the brand, but it's a good brand. But I haven't had to charge this once since starting to use it in November. So
well, can I tell you a story? Honest to God's truth. Sorry, we are going to talk about the Batman trailer. I promise. I did not expect this to go.
Get it out of the way first.
But yeah, get it out of the way. It's fine. I bought my Manscaped before I went back to China last year when I was in quarantine, and I charged it up before I went back to China. Then I was back in China I went back in May. So what, 6 or 7 months? Mm-hmm. I didn't have to charge it one time.
Yeah, it's amazing. Hey?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I shit you not, because I was concerned because charging American products in China is scary because sometimes you blow fuses. I did it. I burnt out 2 coffee machines. So I was like, you know, I had adapters and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm sure I can probably figure it out, make it work. But I was like, it's always a concern. I didn't have to recharge it once.
No, honestly, it's fantastic stuff. So if you're curious, or if you're like me and you live in a warmer climate and you want a bit more comfort, definitely jump on the Manscaped website. And is it BatScaped?
BatScaped, yep, BatScaped.
Yeah. I will be using
BATSCAPED.
when I bought my refill of the deodorant, it was the Black Friday sale, so the stuff was really cheap anyway. But in another couple of weeks, when I go to reorder again, I'll be using BatScaped. Use
BatScaped, because here's the problem. I also feel like this was the worst time in the world to do this promotion, because they've pretty much had 20% off since Black Friday. Because the holidays. Yeah, because the holidays. So it was like Black Friday sale, 20% off, pre-Christmas sale, 20% off. And so the only benefit to using Batscaped, you'll still get 20% off, but the benefit is then they know you heard about it from us. So the incentive wasn't there, and I just heard back from them. Not many people have used it. I'm not surprised because, again, you could pretty much go on and get 20% off without using our promotion code. So I guess what I will say to you is, because not many people have used it, if you've been thinking about it, use it, because it would really help us out. This is like a trial sponsorship, and so if you're going to do it, please do it, because it would benefit the show a lot. And as Brendan said, as Jamie said, and as I'm telling you, the products are great. You will use them, and they're terrific.
Yeah.
So there you go. Batscaped. Use Batscaped as your promo code, and it would only help us out. But let's get back to the party at hand. The Batman dropped a new trailer again 2 days after Christmas. When we talked about the last trailer, we all were in agreement. We're like, oh, of course there's a new one coming. The movie comes in March. I don't know if anyone was expecting it this week. If they were, I didn't know. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Yeah.
Same. I was completely blindsided.
I feel like most of us were, because usually, you'll get some sort of like, oh, new trailer coming next week or whatever. But this just dropped out of nowhere to the point where I almost wondered if they dropped it on accident. I don't know.
Right.
Because there was like no fanfare. It was just boom. All of a sudden it was on YouTube. It was so crazy. And then I saw people post it, and I literally thought they were like, oh, new Batman trailer. And I figured, oh, it must be like a minute-long TV spot. So now that we're about 3 months out, not even, less than 3 months. So I'm like, oh, it must just be like one of those minute-long TV spots. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, no, it's a 2.5 minute full trailer. Wow. So yeah, kind of came out of nowhere, but then it made the rounds, and it's been all over the place ever since. And I do want to talk about it and break it down a little bit. So this one is called The Bat and the Cat. So before we get into the details themselves, I do want to hear your just initial reactions. Preston, you already gave a little bit away already, saying you really enjoyed it. So tell me more.
Yeah, sure, man. I just, I think the pace and kind of the tone of this particular trailer really did it for me. Not that the others didn't, obviously. I like that we're getting a little more character development in this. And I also love, I have to give a huge shout out for this reason, because I am one of those guys that just typically likes to stay away from trailers as a whole. I like to go in as cold as possible. And I will say, I don't want to speak too soon, but it seems that Warner Brothers maybe have learned some lessons the hard way. And I feel like they're keeping it minimal with these trailers. I don't feel like we're getting too much. Obviously, we haven't even seen really Paul Dano's face yet. They've kept that kind of secret. So I really have to give them credit there.
I hope he's in green face.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Perma-green.
Yeah. Who knows? So, yeah, I have to give them kudos there, because I think that they are, keeping it pretty close to the vest overall. Obviously, this was another action-heavy trailer. A lot of action we saw in this. And, I mean, I love the title of it. I know it's super simple, but The Bat and the Cat, that's just really cool. So, yeah, I liked it. I'm really kind of excited to dig into it a little bit in detail as we kind of go through it.
Okay, awesome. Brendan?
I didn't get a chance to talk about the Fandom trailer on this show, so I wasn't quiet about it on social media, and I talked about it a bit on the Nightlight. But for people who don't know, I didn't really like the Fandom trailer. I was a little bit disappointed by it. I thought the one from the year prior was far superior. I really dug that trailer. This one to me was a vast improvement from the last one. I as a trailer, I like it. I don't want to harp on it too much because my opinions haven't changed. Aesthetically, I'm still not thrilled by the look of the characters that we're seeing. I don't know. It's just there's just something that's not doing it for me to the point that a Batman trailer should or has previously. It looks beautifully made. It looks beautifully shot. It looks very well acted. There's just something that I aesthetically, and I can't even really describe what it is, that I'm just not all on board with it. But just in terms of this trailer, I enjoyed it. Like, the action looks great. It's a well put together trailer. The score sounds great. I mean, the scores sounded good in everything we've seen so far. I'm here for it. I'm still not as excited as honestly I really, really want to be about a brand new Batman movie. But, you know, give it another, 3 months almost to the day, 2 months almost to the day, and hopefully my opinion we've done a complete 180.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I said 3 months because it's March. I'm like, oh, but wait, it's March 4th, so it's really only 2 months away. So, wow. I will. I guess I'll start by echoing Brendan's sentiments. Is that, first of all, I really like this trailer. I think it's an excellent trailer. It doesn't change my opinion about the design choices, but I don't want to just beat that dead horse. So I'll just say, no, I still don't like the design of much of this movie. That's not going to change. It is what it is. But that's where I'm at right now. It is what it is. It's not going to change. So I'm going to enjoy what I do have. So if I'm very positive about this trailer, which I think I will be because I really like it, I could see people going, oh, so you finally like the Batmobile? No, I still don't think it's a good looking Batmobile. No, I still don't like the Riddler's look. That's not really going to change. But that aside, I think this is the best trailer we have seen yet for this movie. I think it's a great trailer. It's moody, it's dark, it's scary, it's intriguing. I really like it. What's funny is something that Preston, you said when this came out and it was making the rounds. I saw a few people say, "Oh, like if you don't want to get spoiled, don't watch it." And I don't agree with that at all.
Same.
Yeah, like, and
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, and maybe it was just one or two people that I just happened to see. It could have been a very, very, very small minority, but I did see that reaction of like, oh, it's a little too spoilery, and I'm like, man, I don't think so at all. I think it's great because it builds on what we have seen thus far, gives us a little more context, gives us a lot more dialogue, a lot more interaction, but it still manages, I think, to keep a lot in the shadows, keep a lot of mystery about it that has me more intrigued. That's the best word I have for it after this trailer, to learn more and see how the pieces come together, where I don't feel anything is truly given away. I do think, there are some theories that we all, I think, have considered since the first Fandom teaser a year and a half ago, or whenever that first Fandom was. We had theories then that I think have now been confirmed based on this trailer, but I don't think it gave away anything new that we weren't already expecting in one way or another. So I think that they were very smart in putting this together, in giving us more content, giving us more footage, giving us some really cool action beats, which I think are mind-blowingly good. There's some really neat stuff in there that I'm really happy with, but without, again, giving away the whole movie. I still feel like there's so much more to discover once we see the movie. So I watched this, and as I said, I had a house full of family, which again was wonderful. But that family includes 2 nephews and a niece, and when the 3 of them get together, there's just a lot of screaming and running around and just so like. I watched this 3 times, or tried to watch this 3 times on my big TV. And not a once did I hear any of the dialogue because of them playing games and screaming and playing video games. And I was like, I'm just going to have to watch this again when everybody's gone.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is this like an escape to the bathroom with your phone moment? Or
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I think I turned on the subtitles at a certain point, but it's not the same, So it was funny as I watched it, and I was like, oh yeah, it looks cool. Great. I like it. And then on Twitter, a lot of our fellow DC fans, they were posting little snippets of dialogue, and I was like, oh, where was that? I didn't hear that. Didn't see that. So the dialogue was completely lost on me the first few times I watched it. And then today, to prepare for this episode, I was able to watch it a few more times and really soak that in. But yeah, I do think it's the best trailer so far. I am definitely looking forward to the movie. I am excited about it. Again, I've just sort of accepted the things that I'm not as into, and just am a little more focused on the characterization, the story, the dialogue, and the interactions between the characters. For me, I mean, and it's the whole point of the trailer, right? The whole point of the trailer is the bat and the cat. For me, the interaction between Bruce and Selina, or Batman and Catwoman, throughout this trailer is spot on. I love it. And that is what has got me excited. It was like, oh, damn. Like, they seem to be nailing both of those characters. They seem to be nailing their relationship. There's the moment where Alfred says, oh, is this a new friend of yours? And he goes, I'm not sure. Which is great, right? Like, that's so perfect. So it's them and yeah, really getting more of how they're going to work together in this. That got me really excited. And then even seeing how diabolical the Riddler is and what he's up to. This is a very Penguin light trailer, so we don't get enough Penguin, but that's okay. We'll see him in March. This one is definitely more focused.
That is an aesthetic that I am on board with. He looks fantastic.
Agreed. I think he looks the best of all of them.
Yeah, ripped from the pages.
I was going to ask you, Brendan, actually, because Andy, you just touched on this, but loved the chemistry between Batman and Catwoman. I think that is awesome, and like you said, the dialogue seems so on point. You know, Brendan, I know you've got your picks with it, totally understandably. Is that something that you kind of agree with as well? Are you kind of digging those two together?
Oh no, for sure. Like the chemistry and stuff looks great, and if all the rumors are true, it's not fake either. They really had chemistry on set. That to me looks great. Like, you know, in Batman Returns, she was definitely more villain, you know, than friend. Dark Knight Rises, she was kind of more, you know, on the side of good, but they're.
But not until the second half, which I love about that movie is.
Yeah. But you know, I think this one. I think, you know, if they're going to nail anything in terms of the characters, I think the relationship between the two, you know, is going to be it, and it looks like they could be working together for quite a chunk of the movie. I mean, I don't know, I've seen like what in total like 8 minutes of footage, but. Yeah, I'm down for that. It's like, honestly, it's the bugbear for me is just the aesthetic. It's just like, really an old beanie with a hole cut in it? Okay, that's Catwoman, rightio.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, she looks, you know, in terms of the character, it looks like it's going to be really good.
Well, and I'll say that overall. I mean, I think leading up until before we saw anything from the movie, the casting I thought was very strong. Like, and I think that's why, you know, our hopes were so high going into this movie of the cast here is exceptional. And now that we're seeing more of those performances in the trailer, especially Zoe Kravitz, to me, I think she's the standout in this trailer. She seems to be nailing Selena. She's so fun to watch. She's killing it. You know, she's already been a well-respected actor, but I feel like this could be a star-making turn for her. You know, where she goes from being, you know, famous to being a superstar, because it seems like the performance has that, which I think is awesome. But, you know, just seeing more of Robert Pattinson as Batman, seeing a little bit more of Andy Serkis as Alfred, like getting more of those character moments between all of them is really encouraging, because they all feel like they're nailing it, as far as I'm concerned.
It was the least I think we've seen of Gordon in any of the trailers too. Yeah.
So, yeah, going into the trailer itself, I did break it down. I don't know if we want to go that way, if we just want to call out highlights. We can do it either way. I guess the first thing I'll say is a huge chunk of this trailer, especially for the beginning, is chunks of the Batmobile Chase. And, you know, that's always a big thing. Every Batman movie needs a big Batmobile Chase, I feel like. It is usually a centerpiece, action set piece of every Batman film. And this one, I think, looks like it's shot really awesome. I will say I do like the very extreme, like, afterburners on the back of it. You know, kind of helps make up for the design of the car itself. And the chase looks really cool and exciting. And I love the way it's intercut in the beginning with just dialogue between Bruce and this politician.
Yes.
I think that's so
what I was
cool.
going to call out. The start of it is really, really cool. How it's, you know, this woman talking to Bruce Wayne about how he's not doing anything with all his power and money and everything, and it's intercut with shots of him, you know, donning the cape and cowl and going out at night and kicking ass, and that's maybe my favorite part of the trailer is that first couple of seconds. That's really cool. I like that. It's very Batman too. Man.
That opening, it totally, like I said, sets the tone for the trailer. It's really snappy. It's quick editing. I love that they're kind of footage of their conversation is intercut with what we're talking about here with that chase. And man, I have a question for you guys. I'm curious what you think on this, because I think I can speak for everybody here in saying like practical effects is where it's at, right? I definitely feel the same way. Dude, that car crashing and just flipping upon itself multiple times, like, I don't know if that's real, but it sure looks it, which is really all that matters. That shot is amazing, and it really does look like that sequence is just shot generally just great, like you said, Andy.
Yeah, that shot I thought was, and I said there were some really mind-blowing action moments in here. That's the first one where, yes, the chase looks really cool. It looks exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. I love me a good Batmobile chase. I'm into it. And I liked what I saw in the last trailer when the Penguin's looking in the rearview mirror and he sees it coming out through the flames. That I love that. And then to get that moment here where it's sort of from the back end of the Batmobile and then you see that car flip, like you said. I don't know if they did that practically, but it looks like they did, and it works. Like you can feel that car as it tumbles forward, and it hurts like in a good way.
Yeah, the way the Batmobile sort of comes to that stop with the back end, spinning out and stuff, with the camera on the back of the car, like that's really, really cool. I was impressed by this more than the last trailer. With like the upside down shot of Batman and the fire, walking stuff. But like the shot of the Batmobile coming through the fire is awesome. Look, I will say this with Batman Begins, I was kind of like with the tumbler, like, I don't know, like it looks weird. I don't get it and everything. But it wasn't until I saw that, opening day of Batman Begins and that tumbler chase in that movie where I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm all in. Like it won me over. Yeah. I'm hoping for the same outcome with this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've said something very similar on the show is the tumbler chase in Batman Begins is I think my favorite Batman or Batmobile chase in any movie. I think it's the best of them. And yeah,
I agree.
So, maybe Matt Reeves has finally topped it and will walk out going, you know what? It was badass. I'm down.
I have to say one thing about this sequence before we move on in regards to the chase itself. I love this one moment in particular. It's like a split second where it's a really intimate shot, like in the car with Robert Pattinson. And he's driving and something happens on the road and he's about to wreck essentially. And he gives this straight up like, oh shit face.
Yeah.
And yeah. I love that we are getting to see this real guy and, like it or not, in this real car kind of maneuvering through the situation. That made me smile a little bit. I liked that shot a lot.
Oh, me too. I thought the same thing. He like screams and it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, going back to the whole conversation of this, again, this young politician talking to Bruce Wayne, approaching him. And I like how, we've already heard that this is a Bruce Wayne who is not in the public eye. He is a recluse. And so she's like, I wouldn't approach you normally, but I can't get a hold of you any other way. And, your family has this history of philanthropy. You could be doing more. I thought all of that was really interesting, and it does feel like a direct response to how every month or so some bonehead on Twitter is like, oh, maybe if Batman donated to the city instead of beating up the mentally ill, that stupid take that you see once a month that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen and is contradicted by literally every Batman story ever told. But whatever. I'm not bitter. I'm fine. But it almost feels like they took that, Matt Reeves took that as like a launching point of going, okay, let's take your premise and let's weave it into our story and let's see how it plays out. So I thought that was actually really could be really cool to hopefully shut these stupid people up because I'm tired of seeing it. Bruce always fights for Gotham both as Batman and as Bruce Wayne in multiple ways, using his wealth, using his prestige and his power, anything he can do. I like that is in here again because it does feel like it was kind of pointed at that criticism that you see.
Oh, yeah. Like they're not mutually exclusive things, right? Both can exist and do.
Yeah. And it seems like it's going to be an ongoing motif of the Wayne family crest on that cufflink.
Yes, I thought the same exact thing. We see that too much, and they make too much mention of it to not play into it.
Absolutely. And I mean, it does feel like that is one of the huge thematic elements of this movie is here's how the Waynes have been perceived, and here's who they really were. And now Bruce trying to, make up for the sins of his family, to push forward the reputation of the Wayne family, and then what does that crest truly stand for? So I thought it was very interesting that we get a shot of that multiple times. And again, it starts with this, oh, well, your whole family was philanthropic. They always gave back to the city. And then as the trailer progresses, they really call out. And this was one of those things I talked about where we all had this theory since the very first teaser of like, oh, they might be going the Telltale route where maybe the Waynes were not squeaky clean. Maybe the Waynes, there's more to them, and the Riddler is uncovering the truth about the Waynes. And this trailer truly seems to confirm that.
Yeah, that's something you and I messaged about the other day, Andy. It's sort of the one thing that sort of gave me a moment to pause in the trailer is I don't like the version of Batman where the Waynes are part of the corruption.
Yeah.
I could really do without that. And look, I know that out of how many versions we've had now on the big screen, like this version's never been done, and to do something different, I get that. But it's definitely not my preferred version. I like the Waynes to have been a beacon of hope for the city, and their death is what made things go downhill even more. I want them to be good people. And it's that line that Bruce says, it's like where you lied to me, Alfred. And that sort of the crestfallen look on Andy Serkis's face, like that does have me a little bit concerned. But look, if it's the story they're going to tell, I'll go with it. It's just not what I like.
It's interesting you bring that up, Brandon, because that's a perfect segue for what I was going to mention kind of close to this sequence is I'm really interested to see the dynamic between Bruce and Alfred in this because, I mean, to me, it looks like this is probably going to be the rockiest relationship we have seen those two have on film. And from
Rises was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see if it gets to that level or exceeds it or not. But I am interested because they definitely don't seem on the best of terms. We obviously don't have a lot at our disposal here, but just kind of reading the tea leaves and stuff, that might be the case.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I definitely see both sides of it in that I think that there is drama and good character motivations to be mined from Bruce, not only trying to save Gotham, but also trying to make up for the sins of his family's past. I think there is some good fertile ground for storytelling in there, but I just hope they don't take it too far. They've done it in the past where there is a nice balance. I mean, we talked about in The Long Halloween, there was a really nice, story point in The Long Halloween, the animated version where, Thomas Wayne did patch up the Falcones from time to time. And so he wasn't squeaky clean, but he's still, he wasn't dirty either, right? He did some things that maybe he regretted.
And there's a difference between being dirty and first do no harm,
Yes, exactly. So I hope that they don't make it so that the Waynes are complete SOBs, like the Joker movie where Thomas Wayne was just an asshole, right?
Yeah.
I don't want that. I like you, Brendan, I prefer my Thomas and Martha Wayne to be aspirational, to be the best of Gotham, and then when they die, that's just another step towards the downfall of Gotham. I like that better, but that's not to say there aren't good stories to be told where Bruce learns things about his parents because he was 8 years old when they died, right? So there is a lot that he wouldn't know about them, and he has to learn that they weren't perfect, they were human too, and he's got to reconcile that with who he is today. And I think that could be really interesting. And towards the end of the trailer, which is what you were mentioning, Preston, where he's like, oh, you lied to me, and it seems like this is going to cause tension between Bruce and Alfred. Alfred says, well, we all have our scars, and you're still a Wayne. So I do think it's about that reconciliation, which is they weren't perfect. You do have to reconcile with that, but it doesn't mean you can't be a Wayne and be proud of it and to still do right by the family. So I don't know. This is one of the big question marks, is how far are they going to push it? What are they going to uncover? How nasty is it? And then how is that going to affect Bruce in the present, and how he proceeds forward as Bruce Wayne and as Batman?
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a very interesting take. It is. I'm certainly, again, intrigued. I want to see how it plays out. But I love seeing this interaction between Andy Serkis's Alfred and Robert Pattinson's Bruce. Like you said, Preston, it seems like it's there, it's supportive, but it's a little more strained based on the events of this film, and even what we saw in the last trailer, where I'm not going to get the quote just right, but Alfred basically says something like, you can't keep doing this, or something like that. And where Bruce goes, I don't care what happens to me. Where it almost feels like Bruce is on something of a suicide mission, which I guess goes back to Rises in a way. So yeah, I mean, I think that the best versions of Alfred are that, where he's supportive and he's there to help Bruce in his mission, but he's also there to keep him grounded and to keep him on the right path. So he nudges him back when he needs to.
Yeah. One quick thing I want to add, and not that this speaks to the relationships of the two characters, but we don't even know yet if, unless I'm mistaken, if they're even in Wayne Manor. Like we haven't seen that to my knowledge. So
That
I'm
is
curious
true.
where they're even at.
I feel like something came out over the past couple weeks, and I don't know how credible it is that they are not. That oh God, I think they want to say Wayne Manor is like an orphanage.
An orphanage? I think that seems familiar to me.
And not just the ending of Rises, but I feel like that came out in the past couple weeks, where Wayne Manor, he's not living in Wayne Manor, it's being used as an orphanage, and so he's somewhere in Gotham, maybe in Wayne Tower or something.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but that's interesting.
But yeah, where are they? We shall see. The Riddler does seem to have the entire city in his grip, which I do like that. I like, I like that the Riddler, just by being so damn smart, can bring a city to its knees. And I think that is actually a really great way of approaching this. The fact that it seems like he's got all of Gotham talking, because they all know the name the Riddler, where they're like, the Riddler's been looking for you. Why is he talking to you? Why is he leaving notes for Batman? That's all I think really interesting. And the fact that, of course, the Riddler would know who Bruce Wayne was. Of course, right?
Yeah,
right.
Makes sense.
He's the smartest person in Gotham, arguably the world. And so, like, of course he already knows who Batman is. So that was another really nice part of the trailer, where he says, oh, you're not as smart as I thought you were, Bruce Wayne. His voice is certainly very creepy. And like you said, I guess it's true. We have not seen his face yet, which is interesting.
Man, yeah, gosh, I got a few things I wanted to get to with this. First of all, when we're immediately introduced to the Riddler from Gordon, I love Gordon just saying the Riddler. And I will also add, like, I know this movie is not as fantastical as some folks would like, and I totally get that, but at least they're like using the legit character names and things that it, like, that's definitely a big thing for me. And then did
we talk about that on the last time you were on, Preston, or was that a different? I can't remember if it was when you were on, or I had someone else on, where I was like, hey, at least they're calling him the Riddler. At least they're calling Selina Catwoman.
Yes.
I'll take what I can get.
Exactly, man. I mean, and we even hear, like, Catwoman say, I even wrote this quote down. She says, Riddler's latest, it's all about the Waynes. If we don't stand up, no one will. So yeah, that's really cool to see. And I also want to add, I know you guys have mentioned this before, but just to get like a bit of perspective on how good of a performance Paul Dano could put in, if you have not, please check out Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners, because it's a really similar vibe, a bit to what I'm seeing with this so far, just in the little glimpse we've seen in the trailer. So do yourself a favor, if you haven't seen Prisoners, if you're not sold on Paul Dano as the Riddler, I mean, obviously the aesthetic is a totally different, deal. Check that out. Just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah, Prisoners is great, 100%.
I've never seen it. I'll have to watch it.
It's terrific. Yeah. I mean, honestly, It's like you said, Preston, it's a very similar vibe to this, in that when I saw Prisoners, which is Denis Villeneuve, who's brilliant. But it was really before I knew who he was. I was like, oh, like this is like the best Fincher movie that Fincher didn't make.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's kind of what I feel about this. Is I'm like, oh, it's like Fincher made a Batman movie, but it's not actually Fincher.
Good point. That's true.
It was Fincher. Was it Fincher who was doing the year one take years ago with Frank Miller?
that was Aronofsky.
Aronofsky, that's right. That's right. I don't know. There's part of this movie, like from the very first trailer I saw, that kind of made me think of like that movie, like that year one they were working with, looking at doing what 20 odd years ago now, maybe more.
Yeah.
I don't know, that sort of really, really dark and gritty, realistic vibe, like with the Batmobile. Just using that as an example again, like there are parts of my brain that were like, maybe that's what that movie could have looked like.
Yeah, no, I guess that's true. Yeah,
kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I definitely got to give it up that I like you said, Preston. I love that they call him the Riddler. I love that everyone knows that this guy is out there causing trouble.
Yeah.
And just how creepy and scary he is. It's like they took that one scene from The Dark Knight where the Joker has the camcorder and the guy tied to the chair, which still gives me nightmares. Like, that is the scariest freaking scene in a superhero movie. I can't. It's so scary.
Hey, that was Tommy Doyle he had taped to that chair.
Oh.
It
was. And so... like, it's like they took that scene and like they really like blew it out in this, where it's like, this is, they keep getting these videos and these calls from the Riddler, and everyone is just creepy as hell. And the way he's leaving his riddles, like you see it in blacklight, you see like that huge map on the ground and it says a real change. He's leaving letters, he's leaving it on dead bodies, like he's leaving riddles every way he can, and they're all very unsettling ways. So I do like just the uneasiness of seeing what he is up to. And then, you get the moment where that car comes crashing through a crowd and the guy comes out and he's all duct taped. He's got the phone duct taped to his hand. This Riddler's not messing around. And it does feel like he thinks he's in the right, which is always, interesting.
That's what I was going to bring up. Am I right in thinking, based on some of the stuff we've seen in the trailers, and they are like split-second shots, that the Riddler's going to have supporters? Like,
based on that that big fight towards the end, it seemed like they're all dressed like him.
Yeah,
and there's someone holding a sign
of holding question marks and stuff. Like, I'm thinking he might have his supporters.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, and what does he say? I'm here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city. He thinks he's doing the right thing by revealing the corruption of Gotham, and maybe in a way he is. But yeah, like, he feels like he is doing that. So I could see a certain group of the population being behind him. Because in that fight towards the end, not to jump to the end, but in that fight towards the end where it is Batman and Catwoman fighting side by side, which I'm all for. I do love that. At first I went, oh my God, they're fighting the Riddler on that catwalk. And then
that's what it looks like, yeah.
That's what I thought. And then I like slowed it down, and then I looked, I'm like, oh wait, all these guys are dressed like that. So it seems like they all have just taken on that same sort of mask and tape look.
Okay, I have a couple things, but one stupid thing before I say something serious. Okay, as
You're
much
on the
as
right show, my friend.
Yeah. As much as I have like gloated, like loving this all, I can still laugh at the Riddler's, costume, if you will. Can you imagine what the crappy Halloween versions of that suit will look like?
Yeah,
it'll look exactly the same, won't it?
Yeah, I don't know. That just crossed my mind. That's not going to be pretty. But one thing I do want to make light on, Andy, you mentioned this, and it's such a small thing, and you said it, but the black light. The only reason it was in black light is because Batman was doing detective work, and you love to see it. I was so excited when I saw that, and that's something that I feel like we've heard a lot from the beginning when Matt Reeves took over. Oh, we're gonna get this detective style. We might get a monologue kind of thing. That was cool. I'll take all of that I can. So I figured that would be something you guys would enjoy as well.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a shot with, him investigating the crime scene with the cops. You see some tension between the cops with Gordon and the other cops being like, why are you working with him? Why are you letting him be here? We don't know whose side he's on. But yeah, seeing Batman at the crime scenes with the cops doing detective work. Again, I feel like the criticism of we've never seen Batman as a detective is a bit overstated. I don't think that's true. I think that there are elements of that in almost every Batman film.
True.
But maybe not to the extent that the fans have wanted to see it. I think it's more that than anything.
Right.
And so to see it definitely be a huge part of this film, especially because the Riddler is more of a intellectual foe than a physical one. Lends itself to that. And I agree, like those little moments that we see of him investigating and finding these clues and these riddles, I think are really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Also, we hear a riddle, which I think was really great, where he says, it can be cruel, poetic, or blind, but when it's denied, it's your violence you may find. And you hear Batman say, justice. The answer's justice. And I was like, okay, that's a pretty badass riddle, because it is true. There's cruel justice, poetic justice, and blind justice, right? It checks out. So that's, I think, part of the fun of using the Riddler, but also one of the biggest challenges as a writer is, you got to write riddles, and that's hard, man.
Yeah, right.
It's so hard.
I want to ask, like, Matt Reeves and Matt Tomlinson, the writer, like, who came up with these amazing riddles? Because I can only imagine there's going to be even more that are, awesome in the movie we haven't seen yet.
Exactly. And this is, I think, the first full one. I feel like we'd gotten snippets in the last two trailers, but I feel like this is the full riddle the first full one we've heard. And I went, no, that's a good one. I like it. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So speaking to Batman and Catwoman, it is called The Bat and the Cat, and to me, again, like the whole trailer really hinges on their interactions. As we said, I think that they're both doing great work, but the dialogue between them, I think, is really terrific, and I like that some of it has a lighter touch, which I really appreciate. This does feel like a very dark and serious film. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a little bit of levity can go a long way. And there's no like jokes in this, but just the lighter flirtation between the two of them, I think helps. So like, I love that she does have 1 million cats. I think that's great. I'm glad they're leaning into that. But even when he says, you have a lot of cats, and she goes, yeah, I have a thing for strays. That's very cool. I like it. Right.
That was our first like hint of humor that we've gotten to this point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I do like that line, and his delivery is pretty cool. Like it's funny without being a joke.
Exactly, without it being like but just again, every once in a while a little lighter touch helps. And then towards the end, where he says, Selena, don't throw your life away or something like that, and she goes, don't worry, I got 9 of them. And jumps off that roof like that. I'm like, oh, see that, like that is Catwoman. That's nailed
Dude,
it.
The way she says honey, I'm just like, I'm so here for this Zoe Kravitz. I love this so much.
Oh, agreed. So good. And she calls him Vengeance at the end.
I love that.
That is terrific. Come on, Vengeance. Let's get into some trouble. Like that is so cool. And so, like we said, it does feel like in this movie, they're certainly a tenuous alliance, but I like the two of them working together. I think that's great. And I think that there will be moments where she does things he doesn't like because they help her, which is why earlier on, again, it might probably one of my favorite lines in the trailer is when Alfred says, oh, is that a friend of yours? And he goes, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think that's great. But again, like there's a moment where she's in the wig. So they're undercover, and it seems like Bruce is with her because he is under a hood. And so they're undercover together.
He's got the black eye paint on too.
Exactly, yes. Or the fact that we see them side by side on their motorcycles. So seeing the two of them team up, I think is really cool. And again, like to me, the relationship, everything I'm seeing between the two of them is perfect Bruce and Selena.
Yeah. I do like the relationship with those two characters where, for lack of a better term, like Selena / Catwoman kind of takes the piss out of Batman, while they're working together. I have always liked that. But I'd sort of mention it then too. I do like that they've actually. I mean, I know they're going super realistic, but even Nolan didn't do this, where they've like addressed the fact that he's got paint like makeup on under his cowl, like his eyes are
right
out. Like I do like that, and they seem to be leaning into it because we've seen several shots now of Bruce Wayne, looking very emo, it must be said, but with the black eye makeup on.
Yeah, exactly. Like lean into it because we all know that he wears it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Dude, I made a note of this. It's so funny you mentioned the makeup under the cowl, because in the trailer I watched, I don't know if this was the official Warner Brothers account, it was 1 minute and 52 seconds in. I just wrote, taking the cowl off, I wish I could get my hair to be so perfectly messy.
Sorry.
Like it's just,
yeah, you need a hair and makeup
right?
crew just like him.
You're exactly right. It's just like, oh, look at that. But no, I love that. I love that so much. That little shot's awesome.
It's funny though, because like Robert Pattinson, the person, the way his hair is and everything, like he looks like a young Bruce Wayne. He just does. Whereas they've really changed that look in the movie. Like his hair's sort of longer, it's sort of parted down the middle and everything. It's when they announced that he was cast in the role, this is not what I had in my mind for his Bruce Wayne. I was kind of thinking more like Tennant, Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, whereas this is completely different. And I mean, you've got a guy who looks like the character anyway, and I'm interested to see how it all plays out in the story. But just in terms of the look, it's not what I was expecting.
Well, I think we were expecting that public-facing Bruce Wayne, billionaire playboy, with, the perfectly coiffed, slicked back hair and a tux. I think we were all waiting for that. We weren't expecting, recluse Bruce Wayne, messy hair, trying to not call attention to himself, dark eye circles, all that stuff. So they definitely went a different route. Maybe they're getting there, maybe by the end of this, once he, brings the Wayne name back into the light, he becomes more of a public persona, and we see that in the sequels. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not what we were expecting.
And I hate to draw any attention to this, speaking of that. How ridiculous does it seem now that there were so many articles, so much, media pushed this during early stages of the production, that Robert Pattinson was too skinny to be Batman? Yeah, you were wrong.
So yeah, we get the shirtless shot here of Rob Pat, and it made me laugh because I don't know if you guys remember, it was maybe about a year ago, there was this like silly drama where he joked about not wanting to work out.
Oh,
and like we never even covered it on the show because it was so stupid. I was like, I'm not even bothering. But it was like this rumor of like, oh, he refuses to work out for the role, and then you see this shot, and it's like, guys, relax. Let's all just relax because he looks great.
I mean, not. It is very different to what we've seen recently, like hulking Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
In the role, like it's definitely a leaner, younger Batman. Like that part of it, I have no problem with. He doesn't need to be the size of a brick shithouse.
Well,
like
Ben Affleck was literally the only Batman to be that monster of a man. Every other Batman on film has been smaller.
Begins rivals, I guess.
Begins, but even that not compared to Affleck. Affleck would still step on him.
Affleck,
sure.
But Bale certainly put in the body work, whereas I don't think Keaton, Kilmer, or definitely Clooney didn't. But yeah, Bale certainly put in the work for it.
You guys remember in the special features of I guess it was Batman Begins, crew members calling him Fat Man. That was
because he did too much. Exactly.
Batman.
That's why in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, he's much more regular sized. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was funny. Again, just kind of a little poke at all the, it's not going to work out. Well, guess what? Look, he looks great. Settle down, everybody. There are a couple really great just Batman shots in here. I do love the shot of him falling down with the cape because I'm always going to love that, of course. I love the grapple gun shot of him shooting that grapple gun and going up.
That wasn't in the last trailer, was it?
We had seen a shot of that. Maybe it was in the first. Maybe it was in the first teaser.
That's
first
the
fandom.
shot. That's the grapple gun shot from memory. That's the image that was on Matt Reeves' screen. Was it on Batman Day?
Yeah.
Good call.
So that's where I remember it from, but I couldn't remember if we then saw it in the last trailer or if this is the first time we've actually seen it in action. But the shot of him looking up with his arm extended with the grapple out, that was that still shot that was on Matt Reeves' screen that he posted on Batman Day.
Yes, that's true. So in the first teaser, we didn't see him shoot the grapple. We just saw him going up the grapple.
Right, yes.
Got it. Yes, that makes sense. But
man, I'm sorry, Andy. I just have to mention this. You talking about that. I am loving the camera work we're seeing from this so far. I mean, between the Batmobile, between something I'm sure we're going to get to here at the very end of the trailer, not to jump to it, but him essentially flying. I mean, it looks like he has some sort of device on that is literally he's flying through the air. And just the perspective we get from that, like from behind, we see the police trying to get to him or whatever. I like what we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's more of one of those like flying squirrel suits than it is the Batman Begins glider wings.
Right.
So it doesn't look as cool because it looks like a base jumper, but yeah, I mean, he's still gliding.
Yeah, I just like that perspective we get of him like going through those buildings and stuff. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
There's that shot of him like leaping off the building too, where it kind of looks like the camera is placed
right,
looking back, like almost like the camera's on his boots.
Exactly.
I guess. But yeah, that's a really like it for all my complaints aesthetically of the way the characters look, like the film itself looks stunning.
No, absolutely. And there's been some talk about this past week. Is according to Deadline, this movie only has $100 million budget. And I say only, like $100 million is not nothing, but that's relatively moderate for a big tentpole superhero film.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
To get some of the visuals that we're getting in this trailer and that we're seeing from this film on a $100 million budget is pretty mind-blowing. It's very cinematic. It's very exciting. There's some really great money shots here. And to spend only, air quotes, $100 million on this, it's amazing what they're getting for that investment. And then the beauty of that is it's going to be so much easier to make a profit and keep moving forward based on a budget like that. Instead of, BVS cost $250 million. Yeah. So that's why when BVS didn't make $1 billion, they considered that a disappointment. I know everybody wants to still fight about that. I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm just saying it's because it costs so damn much. That's why.
Well, I mentioned this earlier, guys. Potential lessons learned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey. I mean, even the Suicide Squad, I think, was like 185.
Wow.
Let me confirm that, but I was just looking that up because I was prepping for our year-end episode. But I swear that...
Well...
A lot more special effects in both those movies, too.
Yeah,
that's true.
The Suicide Squad, $185 million. And yes, you have Starro, you've got King Shark and everything. But man, still almost twice as much for the Suicide Squad versus the Batman.
I know one example with the Suicide Squad in particular is they built that entire beach in a soundstage. That's just one example. That's a lot.
I would love to, man, let me tweet James Gunn because I don't know if he knows this. There are real beaches that you can just go to. There's sand and water, the whole nine. It's great.
I like this beach you speak of.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
You're close, Brennan.
It's a little secret that I happened upon.
Probably can't fill them with fake blood to the point that.
Sure you can. Anyway, point being, the fact that they have a much more modest budget for this only helps them. And again, it's not showing up in the film. I'm not seeing the film because I do that. I watch movies and I go, okay, I see they didn't have a lot of money. Okay. I don't see that in this movie, in these trailers. This does not feel like they're cutting corners as far as budget goes. I mean, and just last night, we watched Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. And I was curious because it was fine. It was silly. It is what it is, right? But I was like, okay, I'm curious as to what they spent on it. They spent $110 million on Venom 2.
Oh my goodness, man.
So
wow.
Yeah. So, just to put things in perspective
Well, look,
there.
you know, they certainly save money on the costumes. Sorry, I'm kidding. I jest, but only,
Stocking caps cost a lot less than cat ears, my friend.
I only jest.
Yep. You just go to Sports Authority and get a 6-pack. Anyway, so as I was saying, there's some cool things. There's some nice big vistas of Gotham in here that I like seeing. I love a Gotham that has personality, that feels like its own place, and we don't get a lot of it, but we get just enough that it's promising, I think. And I think it's when the Riddler says this cesspool we call a city. And you kind of get this big shot of Gotham. So very interested to see more of that. But then we get to the finale, which is this big fight with Batman and Catwoman and what I assume are the Riddler's goons. They're probably called like Question and Query. Question and Query.
If you turn the light up, you can just see Goon written across their chest. Yeah.
But the fight that we end this trailer on is really awesome. So again, like some really cool stuff that we see at the beginning from an action standpoint with the cars and the Batmobile. And then we bookend it with a really awesome fight moments, some great things there. And I think that they picked the right fight moment to be like the finale of this trailer, where it's just that long extended shot of Batman taking out these guys, pulling that gun and beating them, and the camera following along with him. And then he just turns to the camera. Like, that's shot badass. Is amazing. Oh, it's great. It's awesome. It's great. Yeah.
It's, it's stuff like that for me personally, is what the second trailer lacked. Like, I think I said on the Nightlight at the time, like, for me personally, there was no F yeah moment in that second trailer. The first one, it was him beating up the thugs at the end, like vengeance and everything like that was a real fist bump, like F yeah kind of moment. This trailer, again, it was that end shot of Batman just pummeling ass, and the way he turns around and looks, at the camera it's awesome. Like, that's Batman, and it's good Batman, like I'm very excited to see the fights and the choreography in this movie. It looks really, really good, and it looks like, like in BVS, for example, like we all know the Martha rescue and everything. It's arguably one of the best, if not, I think, most of our favorite Batman big screen moments ever. But it is just a moment. You don't get to see a lot of that Batman fighting. It looks like there's going to be multiple scenes in this movie of Pattinson's Batman just kicking ass and taking names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude, man, when Pattinson looked at the camera after that sequence, I'm just like, damn, like, that is amazing. The fighting looks so great. I have to point this out, man. Our buddy Tim Rooney kind of pointed this out. I'm like, that is a great point. With that sequence you were talking about, Andy, they're probably using like some sort of dolly, steady cam situation.
Yeah, I heard Tim, and I think he even called like the camera rig that it was on, because he knows that shit. And I'm like, if you say so, Tim, if that's what it's called, I believe you.
Dude, I just love that they went that route as opposed to like the shaky handheld feel.
Yes.
While I appreciate that, I mean, let me be clear, for what it is and what it does. Like, we've gotten plenty of that, right? It's nice to see this solid, clean action, and I think it looks so awesome. It looks great.
Yeah. Agreed. Because for like, Zach's very much the shaky cam, and Nolan was, his fight scenes were very obscured, like intentionally. He wanted you to feel like you were in there and you didn't know what was happening. But the downside of that is, as an audience member, you're looking at it and you don't know what's happening. Whereas this is very like, you're just watching Batman kick ass, which is what, as Batman fans, we love seeing him do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that it's so funny because I rarely hear a movie fan go, "Oh man, I love shaky cam. Shaky cam is the best." I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. All I've heard is people, myself included, being like, "God, enough with the shaky cam. Lock the damn camera down. I'm tired of it. You're giving me a headache." And yet directors keep doing it. Like, it's like they're just intentionally want to ignore it. And I'm sure I'll get an email. I like shaky cam. Good. I'm proud of you. But yeah, like it is an annoyance, I think, more than anything. I think Zach, I think you see his action beautifully. I don't think that it's an issue with his, but like we said, I think Nolan's fights are probably one of the weaker spots of that trilogy. I like that trilogy. I'm not throwing shade, but I do think that the fights, the way he shot them, was not the best. And so, yeah, to get some Batman action and Batman fights, what we're seeing here, crystal clear and not boring, still dynamic and exciting, but you can absolutely see what's going on and actually see the fight choreography. It's refreshing. And so, yeah, I welcome it, and give me more of that. More of that last shot in this trailer. More of that, please.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, I feel like saying something like, I want you to be in the fight itself, I feel like that looks a lot better on paper than what it kind of turns out to be. So yeah, man, I'm pumped. This looks awesome.
All right. Well, there's a lot of other little moments in the trailer that maybe we didn't hit on. Anything you guys want to say before we wrap it up and move forward?
You go ahead, Brendan.
I don't really think there's anything that jumps to mind. I think we've covered everything. Like, I guess just in summing up for me, like I said at the start, it to me, it was a vast improvement on the second trailer. It gave me that F yeah moment that I desperately wanted in the second trailer that I didn't get, for me personally. I've again, like you said, Annie, we don't want to beat the dead horse. Like, it doesn't change my opinion on the aesthetic designs of the characters and the Batmobile and everything. But look, all that aside, like, I'm still really looking forward to this movie. I had, it's for me now, currently it's 2022. So this movie comes out this year for me now. And I had planned to wear the Batman t-shirt today because it's the year that this movie comes out. Like, obviously I put my Golden Girls shirt on after the news of Betty White, but I for all the things I don't like what I've seen with this movie, I'm still really looking forward to it at the end of the day. And I don't want there to be any misconception that I'm not, which there has been on Twitter in the past. But no, I'm genuinely looking forward to this movie. Do I wish I was excited as some people? I saw someone post on Twitter the other day that, in their opinion, it was like, finally we're getting like an ultimate Batman movie, and it's giving us everything we've always asked for. And for me, I'm just like, really? I personally don't see that. But man, I wish I was at that level of excitement for it. I really do. I don't like the fact that I'm not. But I am still looking forward to it nonetheless. So yeah, bring on March 4.
All right. Well, to your point, I'm actually blown away by how many people already know that this is the best Batman movie ever made. Because so many people must have already seen it. That's amazing. Like, I don't know how all these people on Twitter have already seen this film knowing that it's the best Batman movie ever made, but that's the only explanation.
Like, another one I saw the other day was like, it had two GIFs, like one on top of the other, and they're just like, this is the best live action Batman cowl we've ever seen. And I'm just like, have you seen any other Batman movies? like, this is literally the worst Batman cowl we've ever seen. It looks like it's made of like craft singles and stitched together.
Wow.
But I don't like it at all. But, it's to each their own, I guess. Again, I wish I felt that way. I really do. But I can't lie to myself. I don't.
Hey, to steal a line from Andy, that's why there's menus at restaurants, my friend, right?
That's true, but
that people are like, bring me 8 craft singles stitched together that I can wear on my head.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it looks
like it looks like it's made out of cheese. Absolutely.
Yeah, particularly the ears. Like, I just don't like it at all. It's horrible.
I'm going to send you both the Riddler jacket for the premiere, and we're all going to wear it and be happy, okay?
I have a green garbage bag downstairs. I can just...
You too.
Save your postage. It's fine.
You too. Hey, can I give some thoughts? I want to give some thoughts,
yes.
Okay?
Go for it.
First of all, you mentioned this briefly, Brendan, way early on in our conversation. We got to give some kudos to Michael freaking Giacchino, okay? I mean, this dude is putting in some work on this movie, and I'm so excited to hear the score.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think that the new theme is great. I think that the snippets of the score that we're hearing, we've heard since the very first costume reveal is terrific. So, no, I can't wait for the score.
Yeah, and Brendan, you said earlier, man, how you were into it. So that's awesome. I had to mention that because I love what I'm hearing so far. And in terms of like this trailer in particular, so this has definitely been my favorite since the first Fandom trailer. The first Fandom trailer just completely knocked me on my ass because I was not expecting anywhere near that much footage, as so many people can attest, right? So this one is right up there with that one. It's definitely being my favorite so far. Can I ask Warner Brothers, if you're listening, I'm gonna do my best Jamie Drewley here. No more trailers. We are good. We're set. You've been great to this point on not, over delivering too much of the movie. I feel like we're at a perfect level, although I pretty much can sense and know it'll happen probably, let's face it, like maybe early February, a week or two in, just to drive up some steam. But
that's just it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, like that's why I was shocked that they dropped this one now.
Yeah.
It's so weird that they would drop it the week of Christmas. Yeah, like why wouldn't you drop this for that last push, like 4 weeks out?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you said, Brendan, with Christmas, like, I'll be honest, like, I obviously watched this trailer just based on, what I watch on YouTube, all this stuff, it popped up. I feel like I could have missed it if not being in the loop on things because it was right at Christmas. I mean, you know how it is. The news feed's crazy at that time. So I feel like we're bound to get something else.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably true. Well, I agree with you. I think it's the best trailer yet. When I finally got to see it uninterrupted, I was like, yeah, it's a great trailer. It does get me psyched for the movie. I think that, yeah, the story seems really interesting. I want to know more. And that's just it. It does its job and it makes me want to see more. It makes me want to know more. It certainly feels like the cast is killing it. There's some great visuals here, some great action. And again, especially the dialogue between Selena and Bruce really has me excited. I think that stuff all seems really strong and it's really got me excited. So I think it was a great trailer. I'm with you. I don't need to see any more. I'm good. I can buy my tickets. But because they released this as early as they did, I think we're going to get something else, which I don't think we need to.
I know.
It's, and I know, God, what a weird world we live in where we're like, don't give me more, give me less. But it's just the nature of it. So, yeah, I think that this is a great, strong trailer to go out on and to just now wait for the film. But yes, I think it's a really great trailer. I'm psyched. Can't wait to see more. And I can't wait to see the movie in 2 months and a couple of days. So that's the Batman, the Bat, and the Cat. Very cool. So, but we're not ready to say goodbye just yet, because guess what? We got some emails. So we're going to answer you fine feathered finks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, here we go. It's our old pal Ron Messbarger. It says, hey guys, I was catching up on my BatCast episodes because I was in the hospital for a few weeks. So I fell behind, but I'm doing well now. Well, that's good to hear, Ron. Glad you're doing well. It says on episode 322, you were talking about mental health. I wanted to say to y'all that while professional help was a life changer for me in my darkest times, it was your podcast that helped more than almost anything. You see, I moved away from all my friends and family when I got married. When I ended up getting divorced, I was left with virtually nobody. You guys and your podcasts were my outlet and my saving grace. Your positivity and optimism helped me when I was at my lowest point. It always felt like having a conversation with friends that I didn't have. I'm glad you guys had a conversation about mental health because it's so important, but know that you guys do a lot for us fans and our mental health. I want to thank you for that, and while I'm in a much better place now, I still look forward to your new show every time so I can have that conversation with you all, even if you don't hear it. Ron. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for that message, and that means a lot. I'm sorry that you went through a tough time, and speaking from experience, I know how a divorce can be, and you lose a lot of people along the way, and that's horrible. And I'm glad you're doing better now, but it's always nice to hear that we record the show to talk about Batman, to geek out. We do it because it's fun for us. We've connected to many people because of the show, but to know that we also have helped people in some small way, helps them through a tough patch, and let them know they're not alone. I can't ask for more than that. That means more to me than you even know. So thank you for telling us, because I would have never known otherwise. And I really do appreciate that, and it means a lot to me that you sent this message. Thanks, Ron.
Agreed. Like, there was an email, I think, in the last episode too, that was along the same lines, and obviously wasn't on it to make any comment, but listening at home, it does, like, it hits you kicks you in the guts, and it's not why we do it. We just do it because it's fun. But to know that there's an impact there that we're not aware of, that we're not setting out to achieve, is really special. And again, I haven't been on for a long time, so I wasn't able to sort of, to comment on the episode where the mental health thing came up. But I, as someone who's just listening, appreciated the conversation myself, because it is something that isn't as normalized as it should be. And look, I can be completely honest. I take Lexapro every day. I've had mental health issues that tie to my, physical health issues with my IBS and everything. It's sort of all tied together, and it can be really, really hard. And I mean, I don't have it nearly as hard as what other people do and have had and everything. But, it's still something that, I mean, my parents, for example, don't fully understand, because they're just that generation. Like, they don't understand that mental health is health. Like December this, just gone, like, I had a really, really rough time at work, and was feeling it was the most depressed I've felt, pardon me, in a very, very long time. And, Mum sort of caught wind of it, and she called Jess to see what was going on. And Jess kind of said, oh, this is what's happening, and I'm sure Brendan will tell you about it when he sees you. And, Mum's response is, oh, but, he's okay, because, I wasn't physically ill. And Jess is just kind of like, well, no, but okay. Because, I mean, they just don't get it. And it's, it's something that I'm glad that the younger generations do seem to have a firmer grasp on. And mental health is as vital, sometimes, if not more important than your physical health, because your mental health does impact your physical health. And in my case, vice versa, it can be a really vicious cycle. So it is something that I never expected to be such a talking point on a Batman podcast, particularly one that I'm involved in. But it's great that you guys had the conversation, and that's one thing that I think, Andy, you as the creator and owner of this show, should be really proud of, is that there's been a few topics this year that you've raised that have become real talking points, and have clearly, again, I know it's not what you set out to do, but these conversations have had really positive impacts on people, and that's something you should be really, really proud of.
Thank you,
man. Dude, I just wanted to add a couple quick things. First of all, was the listener's name Ron? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Ron, dude, first of all, so glad you're out of the hospital, man. Feeling good, feeling healthy. That is fantastic. But I wanted to let you guys know a couple things as well, because Ron, I am right there with you, brother. Like, listening to these guys, they have helped me in so many more ways than they will ever begin to know. Like, I can specifically remember during the very, very early stages of the pandemic, Andy, dude, like, I listened to Disorder every single night. Like, I would start at 0 and just go through every single episode, because, like, it truly gave me comfort, and it gave me a sense of normalcy and fun and joy. And, like, I will never be able to thank you guys enough for that. And Brendan, my God, this year, my man, single-handedly essentially got me into the Christmas spirit with your Santa Claus episode. Like just listening to you, absolutely listening to you talk to the gentleman you did, man. Like that was so cool. Such a lovely conversation, and it just it really started Christmas for me. Like in a year that it wasn't the easiest to get super pumped for Christmas. So no, I'm right there with you. I can attest the same stuff. So yeah, thank you guys, and Ron, that was amazing, man. Great stuff.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. I mean, thank you guys both for your kind words, and again, Ron, for the message. But yeah, like as the show has progressed and things like this have come up, I just feel like as I have gone through these things and I have seen so many people, acquaintances, friends, family, loved ones go through similar things. Like it's just so much more important to just talk about it and put it out there in the open, because there is so much power in knowing that you're not alone. And to almost to Brendan's point is, that our parents' generation, they were taught, you suck it up, you shut your mouth, and you just deal. And that is not the best way to deal with these things. And so we had, a whole generation of people going through stuff, whether it be something like depression or anxiety or whatever you're going through, and you think you're the only one. You think you are so alone in the world. Nobody can possibly understand what you're going through. And this is such a recent thing in the last 5 years, I would say, where we've started being so much more open about the challenges that we face, both mentally or physically or whatever the case may be. And by being more open about it, you learn so many more people are out there who are going, you know what, me too. I went through something similar. I know exactly how you feel. And there's just a comfort and a strength in knowing that you're not alone. You're not the only one who's gone through it. You're not the only one who's dealt with it. We all have our demons that we wrestle with, and that's okay. It's part of the human experience, but you don't have to be alone, and you don't have to suffer alone. So if listening to us chat about Batman helps you and, gives you something to cling on to or makes you feel like you're with your friends, great. But yeah, like don't suffer in silence. And that's why, maybe there are people who are like, hey, I come to listen about Batman. I don't want to hear about this or that and the other thing. I respect that and I get that. But man, I just think there's so much more value in us just being open about the struggles we're dealing with, because, we learn that we're all dealing with it. We all have our own struggles that we deal with. And you're not alone. It gets better and then it gets worse again. And then it gets better again and then it gets worse again. That's just the way it goes. But you don't have to do it by yourself.
And in saying that too, like, they come to listen to Batman and everything. It's not like you or we have ever set out in an episode to talk about these things. They're things that have just come up organically, or because of an email that someone's written in or something. And it's kind of like the conversation's just naturally gone there. So, it's not trying to be preachy or anything. It just, sometimes the conversations go there, and, why not talk real about it,
Right.
Super quick last point. Like, yeah, you have to keep in perspective here. The whole reason this conversation got brought up was for a Batman Beyond episode. Like, how amazing is that? Yeah. We brought all this attention, had all this great talk, all because of a random plot in a Batman Beyond episode. So there you go. And Brendan still didn't like it. There.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Well, I didn't see it, so.
Just kidding.
But you're right. I wouldn't have.
Anyway, Ron, we're glad you're doing better. Glad you're out of the hospital. Happy holidays, and again, thank you so much for letting us know. Appreciate that. All right, next message is from Jalen. It says, hey there, Andy, Jamie, and hopefully Brendan. It says, given the franchise craze of the past 10 to 20 years with reboots or belated sequels coming out every 6 months or so, I thought I would pose you with a scenario. You can choose to reboot completely, erase everything except the first film, or leave the series as is. Here are the franchise choices: Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, and Die Hard. Hopefully this is a fun exercise for you guys. I also want to congratulate Andy on his upcoming fatherhood. Keep up the amazing show, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas season. Thank you, Jalen. Okay, it's kind of fun. Okay, so for each of these franchises, reboot completely, erase everything but the first film, or leave it as is. It kind of seems like F, marry, or kill, right?
Yeah.
So Back to the Future. Reboot completely, erase everything except the first, or leave the series as is. Preston.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries, Brendan. So
Let our
I am
guest go
choosing-
first.
No.
Jesus.
Sorry, I feel like I'm a guest. It's been so long.
Dude, okay, so Back to the Future, I am leaving Back to the Future as is. Come on, I'm not changing greatness. What do you people want from me?
I'll just say seconded. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Leave it as
is. That was I was about to say. That's a big fat leave as it is.
easy one. Don't touch a thing. Jurassic Park. Preston.
Ooh. Oh boy. Jurassic Park, I'm leaving as is as well. Because correct me if I'm wrong, if I choose to reboot, I am removing the first film, right?
Reboot completely, yes, means you're starting from
Okay.
scratch.
Yeah, no, I'm good with the Jurassic Park franchise, and I'm super excited about the next one.
Brandon?
It's tricky because, and I'm going to have the same issue with Die Hard. I wouldn't mind going back and doing a sequel, scrapping everything but the first one. But in doing so, like, we then lose Jurassic World, which I really, really like. I could do without The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, and even the last Jurassic World movie.
Fallen Kingdom.
Fallen King. I still haven't watched that since the cinema. I haven't rewatched it since. I don't know. Like, it just. But it's, in saying that, I'm really looking forward to Dominion. It looks great what we've seen so far. But I look, just for the sake of variety. I'm going to say scrap everything but the first one. But again, I would really miss Jurassic World because that's my second favorite behind the first one. It's a really good sequel and did what it set out to achieve really well in terms of like rebooting it, but also being very much a sequel to the first one.
Mm-hmm. Jurassic Park, I'd leave as is. I'm with Preston on this. None of the sequels have reached the heights of the original film because the original film is my favorite film of all time. But I get entertainment out of all 4 sequels, and so I don't think any of them are truly a bad movie. So yeah, I would leave that one as is too. And then Die Hard, Preston.
Okay, so I'm so sorry. One of the options is scrap everything but the original.
Yes.
Okay, definitely choosing that with Die Hard. I love the first. Even the sequel is fine. I will say just the last one. I don't think Live Free or Die Hard was quite as bad as maybe folks made it out to be. But yeah, I agree because I'm a big Oliphant guy, Timothy Oliphant. So yeah, I'm good scrapping it all but the first one. Give me that. Let me have my Christmas movie.
Okay,
and
well,
I loved your comment. And Andy, I'm so sorry. Yeah, dude, you might have been going here, but your tweet was so perfect about that. If you want to elaborate.
What was my tweet? What are we talking about?
Well, I remember you saying something along the lines of like, the whole argument is Die Hard a Christmas movie, and you're like, where are the people that are saying it's not? Was that?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just tired of that debate every year. It's like,
yes,
if you watch it at Christmas, great. I do. I love it. I will say Live Free or Die Hard. I actually think is pretty good. It's a good day to Die Hard. That's really bad.
You're
right.
right.
It's terrible.
What do you think, Brendan?
See, this is where I was a bit torn with this one because I love Die Hard 3. Like, Die Hard with a Vengeance is awesome. It's such a good movie. I actually think I saw that one before. Actually, I did. I saw that one before I ever saw the original. Again, I think just because of my age, like that came out when I was like 11, and I hadn't seen the original Die Hard at that point. So I guess scrap everything but the original, but then the movie I would make is I would just remake Die Hard with a Vengeance because I really like that movie. Because it's a pretty much a direct sequel to the first one. It scraps everything of number 2 and ties it back into the first one. So I'd scrap everything but the first and then just remake Die Hard 3.
Yeah, I actually would do the same thing as Preston. As I would say just keep the original. I mean, again, I like Die Hard 2, 3, and 4. 5 I think is really bad. So I don't even hate them, but I'm like, yeah, like Die Hard 1 I consider arguably the best action film of all time. So
Oh, I'm right there with you.
yeah, it's just
fantastic.
I think it's one of the rare perfect films. I just think it's terrific. So you know, I wouldn't shed any tears over losing the sequels. But I like what you're saying, Brendan. Is I would remake Die Hard with a Vengeance, but in New York City, like it is, but during Christmas.
There you go.
All right, that was a fun question. Next one here is from Brian B. It says, "Hey guys, I hope you're having a good holiday season and things are going well. I figured I'd send my last email of the year before the big blitz of 2022 is on the way with a certain film in March coming." What's coming? What's in March? What the heck?
The Flash is until November.
Yeah. It says, "Andy, I loved your Spider-Man review that you did on Real Fans. As someone who's always been married to Batman, Spider-Man has been my mistress that I see every other weekend."
I feel that.
Excellent point about the movie saying that all 3 Spider-Men were great and that the internet completely missed that point 24 hours after. That thought went through my mind looking at Twitter after the film. My question is this: what Spider-Man villain do you think would fit into Batman's world? While it's an easy answer, I would say the Green Goblin or Kingpin. However, I think Doc Ock would also be an interesting one, using his brains to match the Bat. And what Batman character would fit into Spidey's world? Personally, I'd go with Mr. Freeze. Just the aesthetic and backstory would make him a perfect fit with a Clayface as a runner-up. Secondly, with Daniel Craig's arc as Bond coming to a close, I have an interesting observation or question. Do you think trilogies are too short of a film arc to tell a sprawling story? While Nolan did it perfectly despite Rise's haters, I would love to see a 5 to 6 film Batman series with a young Batman starting off and then ending with an aging Batman on his last legs, much like Craig's Bond. Thoughts? As always, thank you for the hard work. Best of luck in 2022. Andy, best of luck being a father shortly. Please find time to sleep, and hopefully we can finally kick COVID's ass and we can get away from this era in time. Brian. Thanks, Brian. Thank you for the message. So, yeah, we did a rare Real Fans episode on Spider-Man No Way Home with our pal Hunter Fagan and Brad Jost. Speaking of Jurassic Park. So, yeah, that was super fun. Glad you enjoyed that. So, okay, a Spider-Man villain in Batman's world and a Batman villain in Spider-Man's world. Preston?
Dude, first of all, I agreed with him on both picks. I thought those were great. Those were probably the first 2 that came to my mind. But, man, when I think of a Spider-Man villain coming into Batman, I think a really interesting dynamic could be Mysterio.
Okay.
Because of his ability to basically lie to people and get away with it, right? I think that would be really interesting. We were talking about in the Batman trailer, like, you know, these people kind of following the Riddler, right? I think Mysterio is a great example of that, even relating it to the latest Spider-Man movie. That could be really interesting. Man, a Batman villain into Spider-Man. I really like the Mr. Freeze call. Like, I'll be honest, I wish I could be original and come up with my own, but that was the first one that came to mind for me, and that would be really cool.
Yeah. Brendan, thoughts?
My first thought was Kingpin. I'm not as well versed in the Spider-Man villains if they haven't been in the movies, so I'm probably going to say someone like Sandman. You know, would work well with a Clayface. I mean, or even the Lizard. You know, you kind of get the Killer Croc. You know, like you know, just they're you know, you could sort of swap or change them, I guess, so they wouldn't be too out of place. And as far as going the other way, like the Spider-Man villains seem to be a little bit more fantastical than what Batman has sometimes. So something like a Poison Ivy. I don't think there's an equivalent in the Marvel universe, like, you know, like your plant-based villain. So, yeah, let's say Poison Ivy just for the hell of it. And also another female villain in there.
Nope, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I agree with Preston and Brian here. Like, Green Goblin, I just think is perfect for Batman's world. Yeah. You could just totally see them. So, yeah, I'm just going to go with that. And then I guess I would say Scarecrow against Spider-Man, because it's sort of like what Mysterio is up to, but with the stronger fear component. So I feel like it would also be different enough, too, that it could be really cool.
I like that.
And then what do you, Brendan, I'll give you first crack at this. Do you think that a trilogy is too short? Do you think that they need 5 or 6 Batman films, much like Daniel Craig's arc as Bond?
It's tricky because it could go either way. I mean, Lord of the Rings and stuff, like, they're trilogies that seem to be very, each one could be, 2 or 3 movies on its own, depending on the version you watch. Like, they seem to be pretty thorough.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky because with the Craig arc as Bond, a lot of it was done retroactively, and things were retconned, and they didn't set out to do like a 5 film arc that it ended up being. I think if you go in with a plan and you go, okay, this is the story we want to tell, and we want to tell it over X amount of films, and you stick to that plan, then yeah, like it would be amazing. And I again, for all my criticisms of what we're seeing of this, this new incarnation of Batman, I do hope it's successful and that spawns several sequels, because Pattinson is what, he'd have to be the youngest Bruce Wayne that's ever been cast. So that does give you some time to play with that you wouldn't have had with some of these other actors,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think if you're not sort of just making it up as you go, like, for as much as I love the Bond franchise, like, they didn't set out to tell this, epic 5-part story. It sort of just all kind of happened on the fly,
Mm-hmm.
The thing is with that series is it had a really strong entry point with Casino Royale, had a really strong middle entry with Skyfall, and in my opinion, they stuck the landing with No Time to Die. So, Quantum of Solace, which I love, but a lot of people don't, and Spectre, which is my least favorite of the 5, you can kind of forgive them because there are 3 really good movies in there. So yeah, again, they didn't set out to do that though. So if you go in with the plan and you can stick to it and make it work, then yeah, I'd love to see, an arc of 4 or 5 movies instead of just your standard trilogy that seems to be, I think, pretty much because of Nolan too. Like, it seems to be the blueprint now. So we're going to do a trilogy. So yeah, if they can expand it out for more, then hell yeah, do it.
All right.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Brendan. Like, as far as Nolan kind of laying that blueprint, I mean, obviously he wasn't the first guy to do a trilogy of films, but come on, that's kind of where our brain goes to. So a couple things here. First of all, I think you guys would agree as well. I mean, hell, I would take 10 of these movies if they wanted to give them to me. I'll take them all.
Yep.
But, to answer the question directly, do I think a trilogy will be enough? Absolutely. I think it'll be enough. And you got to think about who is behind the scenes doing this, right? Matt Reeves. Even though he didn't do all 3 films, we've seen him work in a trilogy before with the Apes series. And I think he did a hell of a job with that. And I will say, just, with all these trailers, all the questions, the aesthetic choices, all this stuff, I have so much faith in Matt Reeves as a director. And at the end of the day, I just really think he's going to deliver. So whether that's 3 movies, 5, 7, a dozen, give me them all.
All right. First of all, do I think a trilogy is too short? No, not necessarily. I think you can absolutely tell a really great, compelling, extensive story in 3 films. I do think you can do that. But do I think it would be wonderful to have a streak of Batman films with the same Batman in the same world that goes past a trilogy? Absolutely. And yeah, maybe this is it. I'd be all for it if we love this first movie and we want to keep going and expanding the world and everything. Yeah, because I do think that there's an opportunity for that. Batman's world is so rich. There's so much to it, so many great characters to explore, that you could keep going for 6 films, and to have that with the same Batman would be really great. And we've never had that in live action. So I do think it's also an opportunity of something that we have yet to see. The most we have gotten a Batman is Bale, I guess, right? I mean, as far as like and that's 3 movies. And Affleck, you could make an argument
movies,
because of the cameo in Suicide Squad, and then whatever the size of his role in The Flash is going to be, like maybe Affleck, but like to get the same Batman for more than a trilogy, I think would be really great. And maybe this is finally the chance to do that.
For sure.
All right, next message is from Tom Fallows. It says, "Hey guys, hope you had a great Christmas and you're all set for 2022. After reading Jeff Lemire's Robin and Batman, where an aspect of Batman and Robin's relationship is seen in a darker manner, and Titan's portrayal of Bruce Wayne, is there being a re-examination of the Batman and Robin relationship to show it as unhealthy and darker? And do you feel this is a good interpretation, or does it damage the characters? Thanks for the great podcast, Tom." Thanks, Tom. So I haven't read Robin and Batman, but it's also not a new thing. I feel like we've heard it as long as I've been a Batman fan, of like, why would Batman endanger a child and take him on these adventures? I don't think it's a new approach to the Batman and Robin relationship. And I think that, Titans certainly went down that road in season 3 a little bit. Not quite what I said, but like still showing that there can be some complications, and it might not always be the best or healthiest relationship. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that is something that's coming up again? And do you think that is a good interpretation for Batman and Robin? Preston?
Oh man! First of all, I wish I could say that I have read that material. Gosh, I feel like a bad fan right now, right beside Andy. But no, man, like you said, this is not something we haven't heard before, right? So honestly, copy and paste what you said. I honestly feel the same way. Let's move right on to Brendan without my rambling.
Well, I certainly haven't read it because I haven't read a recent comic. Well, actually, no, I tell a lie. I read the Batman 89 ones when they come out in a long time, though. But, look, it's kind of like the Waynes, like what we were talking about before. It's not my favorite interpretation. Like, I get that it is an interpretation, and yeah, you can look at it that way. But, look, at the end of the day, as long as he's not throwing him in a cave and making him eat rats, like, who would do something like that to a child? I'm kind of okay with it. It's just not my favorite interpretation.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, there certainly can be tension, and there should be some tension there between Batman and Robin and their relationship. But no, for me, Robin is just as much a part of Batman's world as the Joker and Commissioner Gordon and Catwoman. I feel like he just goes in that world, and I think that too often writers and creatives in Batman, they want to just dismiss Robin outright, which y'all know I don't agree with. So I think that this is an easy way to try and do that, of going, see, there's no reason for a Robin. I think it's a way for non-Robin fans to try and get him out of the picture. When there are great ways of writing Batman and Robin together. And again, there can be disagreements and there can be some tension in it, but still as a healthy, good thing, that relationship can flourish. And I'll go back to Young Justice that summed up the answer to this question the most perfectly I have ever seen. And it's kind of taken on a life of its own, which I'm glad, because it's one of the best, I think, moments in Batman media. And it's when the Justice League is looking at new membership and they're talking about Shazam, and they bring it up, well, but Shazam's only a child. Is it really okay to bring a child into the Justice League? And Wonder Woman says something to Batman about like, oh yeah, like Robin, like you bring Robin into your world so he can turn out just like you. And Batman goes, no, so he won't turn out just like me. And it's the best. It was the best thing I've ever seen, and that's my answer to when people go, "Oh, why would Batman bring Robin in?" And usually in the writing, you have to make it clear that he is doing it for Robin's own good, not for his. And I think that, Titans did some of that, and not all of it.
Yeah.
All right, next message is from our pal Tim Rooney. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast. I hope everything is well. Your holidays treated you right. I'm sure I'm the 10th person who probably wrote this in, but there was a Batman Christmas Carol of sorts before Batman Noel. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale did a story like it in Legends of the Dark Knight called Ghosts, where instead of taking place on Christmas, it's on Halloween. But Bruce is visited by 3 ghosts and told to get into the holiday spirit. You can You can find this impressive looking story in their Haunted Night collection. And since we're on the topic of artists, I wanted to weigh in on Lee Bermejo as well. While his work is highly skilled, I am pretty whelmed by his work for one reason. I think his stuff is highly detailed like Jim Lee's, and thanks to Guy Milks, you can see a lot of Bernie Wrightson in there as well, due to the grotesque nature of it. But my problem is that all of his work is colored the same way. They all look the same. You can't tell when you see his art which story it came from Joker to Noel and so on. To me, anyway. Anyway, enough of my ramblings. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Tim Rooney. P.S. Batman Beyond still rules. Good. Thanks, Tim. And you were the only one who wrote in about ghosts from the Haunted Night collection. And what's funny is just this year is the first time I ever read Haunted Night. It had been just waiting for me, Halloween in, Halloween out, and I just never got around to it until finally this year. And I still didn't remember. So guess I got to do it again next year so I can remember. So I appreciate the heads up for another Batman Christmas Carol take. Thank you for that. And as for Lee Bermejo's artwork, yeah, like we did talk about that on the Noel episode. And for some people, it's their favorite. And I completely get it. It's just not my favorite. And interesting that it's all colored the same. Any thoughts, Brendan?
The Lee Bermejo thing. I messaged you and Jamie the other day because I obviously listened to the Noel episode and you guys talking about it, and because particularly how you were saying how like none of you like his look of the Joker, and I sent you guys a photo of my black and white Joker Lee Bermejo statue and said, well, I'll just go F myself then, because I do really like his artwork quite a lot actually, and I really dig his Joker. So I'm the opposite of you guys. I would put him, for me personally, like my three favorite artists are Jim Lee, Lee Bermejo, and I feel terrible. Is it Jason
Fabok?
Fabok, yes, thank you. Who did three Jokers. Like, they're my three favorite Batman artists. So I do really like his artwork and his style. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, go fuck yourself.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. And I couldn't remember the Haunted Night story either, so.
All right, Preston, thoughts?
I will say, Andy, after a while apart, it only took a couple hours for you to tell him to go F himself. So there you go.
Well, he hasn't called me a C-bomb yet, so we've still got time.
Why would I never would do that to such a dear friend.
No, of course not.
Oh my goodness! First of all, Lee Bermejo, I really also like his artwork. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's my favorite, but I do enjoy it. And I will also say, Tim Rooney, I just looked up this Batman Ghost, and this artwork looks phenomenal, and I can't wait to visit this. I'll try to hold off till next season. Give me something else to add to the list. We'll see if I can make it.
Well, starting tomorrow, January 1st, Halloween season begins again.
Oh, dude, 100%.
I always go through like the post-holiday malaise. I always get sad when the holidays are over because it's just like, oh, we're so far away from it. And I said that to Catherine. I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel like the post-Christmas sadness. It's such a bummer. And she goes, well, you do have the birth of your child to look forward to. And I was like, yeah, but Halloween,
Okay, but more importantly, I need to know when we are going to start opening up our rationed monster cereal for the year.
Oh, mine is still sitting there just waiting for a...
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
For a sad day.
Okay. The other thing you have to look forward to, Andy, is like, well, for me, it's January 1 now. It's only a couple of hours away for you guys. It's only 1 month till my birthday.
Oh, thank goodness.
Hey.
What do you buy? The world's biggest... Like the biggest maxi pad?
Bingo! There we have it.
My birthday, and then, only 6 weeks or so after that, you've got the Batman, so it's all good.
Great. Also the birthday of my child, but whatever. Small potatoes. All right, next message is from Ryan Burrows. It says, hey guys, after watching the newest trailer, what are your thoughts on the setup being there for Bruce having an arc solely focusing on Batman and seeming emo to realizing that Gotham needs Batman, but also needs Bruce Wayne. The lady telling him he doesn't seem to be doing anything hit me that he will figure out that he can't just be checked out as Bruce Wayne, and this story will be the catalyst to him becoming more involved by the end, leading into the next movie. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks,
If
Ryan.
only we talked about that trailer.
Yeah, well, maybe next time. I mean, yeah, we did talk about this a little bit, but I would not quite framed the way you did. But I think that's actually really, it's a great point of like, yeah, this is him showing that he can't only serve Gotham as Batman. He also has to serve Gotham as Bruce, and this is going to teach him that. So yeah, we certainly, again, we hit on it, but I totally understand your point, and I think that's actually, yeah, it's a really great arc for him. Thoughts, Preston?
Dude, you know, I was kind of thinking of one thing in particular, because yeah, you're exactly right. Okay, so the beginning of the trailer when we're getting those intercut, you know, Batmobile sequences. I love, and this could be just witty editing, obviously on the trailer's behalf, but when he just gives her that smirk for basically telling him he's doing nothing for the city of Gotham, I loved that, and I think that yeah, he's probably going to learn the hard way. Like, I can't just be one-sided in this way. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic kind of unfolds throughout the course of the movie. But yeah, good call.
He's like, if I don't start using my position as Bruce Wayne and my money to help Gotham, these assholes on Twitter are never going to let me forget it.
Exactly. He's like, lady, if you only knew half the shit I was getting into on a nice nightly basis.
Every damn month, one of these jackasses comes out of here with their hot take.
To be fair, she thinks that he's just sitting at home by himself listening to My Chemical Romance. So
I mean, that doesn't sound bad.
No,
that's what me and Hunter do.
For sure.
okay.
I'm right there with you.
Anyway, Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely a different way to look at it that we didn't really touch on, but it's an interesting way to look at it. I honestly kind of cut and paste what you guys said. I don't really have anything else to add to it because, yeah, I'm just trying to think of if in other movies we've really seen Bruce helping Gotham as Bruce Wayne. Like, I know we did in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and Rises we really saw it, but it was after he faked his own death. So, yeah, it's actually a really good point. It's something I do hope we see.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in one way or the other in every Batman movie.
Yeah. I mean, in Batman and Robin, he made that telescope, so...
That's right. That's right. He showed up for it. I mean, the first time we meet him in Batman 89, he's throwing a freaking fundraiser for the city.
True.
That's true.
Batman Returns, he's fighting the evil Max Schreck with the mayor from their evil power plant.
I'm trying to think of Forevers.
Forever, he goes to the circus.
I was about to say, he supported the circus. Yeah, that's literally what I thought.
He supports the televised circus.
Andy, it's 2022 here, so you know what that means.
What does that mean?
Speaking of Batman Returns.
30 years?
It's due for a commentary.
All right. See you next Christmas. Or do we do an anniversary in the summer?
The anniversary, it'd have to be in June.
Okay, well, Christmas in June. Great.
Yeah.
All right, one last email here. It's from Slam Dannon. That's a name. All right. I think he's a hard-nosed investigator. Slam Dannon. It says, I know you guys are a Batman DC podcast, but I've got to know what you thought of No Way Home. Like, if you don't talk at least a little about No Way Home, I'm going to slam a car door in my fingers.
Whoa.
Slam, don't do that. Don't slam your fingers in a car door. Not worth it. Maybe we can talk about its treatment of legacy characters and what you'd like DC to do or not do with Michael Keaton's imminent return in comparison to what Marvel did. I don't know, whatever. I just want to hear your thoughts on the movie. Okay, Slam. Well, first of all, as was mentioned briefly, we did a Real Fans about it. Me, Hunter, and Brad, we reviewed it in great detail over on Real Fans for Real Movies. It was the second to last episode. So we go into great detail there. But I will say I loved No Way Home. I thought it was great. I think they did a great job of telling a story for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but also respecting the legacy characters and bringing them into the story in a very meaningful way, and paying tribute to not just this iteration of Spider-Man, but of the other cinematic Spider-Men as well. I was very impressed with the balancing act it pulled off. I loved the movie. So yeah, as for how does that compare with what's going to happen with Michael Keaton, I don't know. I do think that it's going to be different, because it's not like Michael Keaton is being pulled into this world. Like, it seems like the Flash is going to his world. But I do hope that, like No Way Home, they do give us a couple little nuggets about what happened after the final film. I do want that. Maybe that's just me being a fan of like, oh, like, yeah, tell me everything worked out. But yeah, I think that's great. And I really love the way they did that in No Way Home. And I hope they do that for The Flash as well. Preston, thoughts?
Man, so No Way Home. First of all, really enjoyed that movie. What a blast to watch. And, you know, the Spider-Men, if you will, are receiving so much credit, and totally rightfully so. But I feel like one guy's name I am not hearing enough when people talk about No Way Home is John Watts. I mean, this dude did a great job. And the writing staff. I mean, I seriously think that they did about as good of a job with that type of story as one could do. I mean, I don't know how you fit all that in and make it flow so eloquently in a, you know, pretty swift 2.5-hour runtime, all things considering. I mean, it feels swift anyway. So really had a great time with No Way Home. I've actually seen it a couple times since my initial viewing. And, yeah, I've really settled into it, and I like it. I like it a lot. With the whole Michael Keaton situation, I tell you, I'll kind of spin off a little bit on that question. The one thing that I am not looking forward to whatsoever is the really annoying tweets about how the Flash is trying to be Spider-Man No Way Home, because you know that's coming. You and I both know that's coming. So that's going to be unfortunate and really annoying. But hopefully I have a lot of those people muted already. So hopefully it's not, you know, going to be on my feed.
Yep. Agreed. Brandon?
I can't really comment because I haven't seen it. Not that I don't want to. I just, like, when it came out, it was like this. I think it was the 17th of December here, so like a week out from Christmas. I barely had time to scratch my perfectly comfortable, non-sweaty balls, let alone go and watch a 2.5-hour movie in a cinema. So, and at the moment, the way COVID is spreading like wildfire, I don't really feel like going and sitting in a cinema for 2.5 hours, which is sad, because actually finally today Ghostbusters Afterlife finally opens in Australia. And thank Christ I went and saw an advanced screening of that, because I really wanted to go and see that again and go with my mum and my brother and everything. But I don't even think that's going to happen, because I just don't feel it's safe to go to the cinema again at the moment, which is very disappointing. But I do want to see it. I haven't avoided spoilers. Like, I've flat out asked people who have seen it what happened and who was in it and everything. So like that side of it, I don't care about. But I am very keen to see it, because I liked the Tobey Maguire movies. Well, the first two. I didn't dislike the Andrew Garfield ones, and so far, like, the Tom Holland ones have been fine. So I'm interested to see how it all comes together, and really keen to see Tobey back playing Peter. So once I see it, I'll have an opinion, but I just sort of I can't answer the question at the moment. But I definitely, with Preston, with I wish the Flash had to come out first. I really do, because it's just going to annoy me. And and I know it was probably done for fun and everything, and I get it. I don't know, but the Flashpoint joke, that kind of pissed me off a little bit, I must admit.
Well, all right, there you go. So go listen to the Real Fans episode. I think you'll get a lot more discussion about it. But yeah. Definitely worth seeing, Brendan, when you get a chance, and it's out there making all the money. So,
look, I am keen to see it. Don't get me wrong. I just haven't had a chance.
I think that the huge wave of COVID spreading around the United States is mostly thanks to Spider-Man in the movie theater.
Honestly, I know several
Thanks,
people
John Watts.
who've had to be tested because they went and saw Spider-Man. So,
Dude, let me say this. The one beef I have with No Way Home is the fact that it pushed Nightmare Alley out of the damn theaters after a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man.
Well, also, Disney's just been dumping all their Fox crap anyway. They have no interest in promoting any of their Fox acquisitions. They've just been dumping one after another into the theater and saying that they did, and that's it.
but I don't get it. They still stand to make money. They own the stuff.
Yeah, well,
I don't get it.
but it was a bunch of movies they had no, they had no part in the production of, so they're just burning them off. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one they sort of tried to promote was West Side Story because of Spielberg, and even that, unfortunately bombed.
Dude,
which is too bad because
depressing.
it was amazing. But yeah.
See, my plan was in the next couple of days, honestly, was to try and get someone to look after Henry and take Jess. Like, we haven't been anywhere, just the two of us, since April last year. And I wanted to go and take Jess to see West Side Story, but because at the moment too, like it was up until a couple of weeks ago, like if you went to the cinema and stuff, like you were allowed to sit in the cinema and take your mask off and everything, whereas now you have to have it on the whole time. And I wear glasses, and it's just like it's not feasible and comfortable to sit in a cinema for that long with a mask and glass. I know it's not a huge deal, don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-mask, but for a 2.5 hour movie plus, like, I want to be comfortable, and I don't want my glasses to be fogging up, and I want to be able to enjoy it. And at the moment, I'm not going to be able to enjoy stuff in the cinema, which is a real shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, understood. All right, well, that is it for the emails. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. We love hearing from you guys. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. And it's always fun to hear what you guys are thinking, and you get your questions, so feel free to send those our way. They might not get there in time for our next episode, though, because before you know it, before you blink, we are going to do our year-end wrap-up, so something to look forward to. So keep an eye on our feed, because that is coming really quick. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of Holy BatCast. Preston, thanks again for joining us. It was great having you back.
Oh, buddy, it's great every single time. Thank you so much for having me, both you guys. Thank you. If you want to follow me online, I'm at Preston967 on Twitter. Also really active on Letterboxd under the same handle. Brendan, I follow you. Andy, you need to jump on the Letterboxd train, man.
Oh, I guess so. I've never done that, but maybe I should.
It is good. It's a good way to keep track of everything you watched in a year.
I mean, that's why I want to use it, because I usually just keep a note, like in my notes app, of like the movies I see and my grades and stuff, but maybe Letterboxd is a more organized way of doing it.
I'm telling you, that's exactly why I started. At first, it can be a little overwhelming, so don't get, whatever, but just stick with it. You'll like it. But again, at Preston967, thank you guys so much. This was a blast.
Awesome. Brendan, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you very much. And look, it must be said, thank you for my Christmas present that arrived yesterday.
You're welcome.
You once again spoiled me with Santa Claus the movie merchandise, which I think I said to you yesterday, like, you've got to be tapped out now, surely. Like,
probably.
I cannot unless you were to get me the Happy Meal boxes, which I know you have, but I cannot think of anything else that you could possibly buy me related to Santa Claus the movie. So thank you for my McDonald's books.
I'm going to buy you a little baggie of David Huddleston's ashes.
Fair enough. Look, I'd accept it. So thank you in advance for that, and thank you for Henry's koala. That was.
I mean, for him, he's probably used to seeing them everywhere, but this one he can play with.
We've got 4 in the back. I'm kidding. But no, that was very nice. And he's very cuddly, and he likes it a lot, actually. He was cuddling with it yesterday afternoon. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But no, look, it was great to be back. It's not through lack of trying, but it's just been schedules, and just wait till February, dude. You'll see what I mean. Like, it's hard. It's hard once you've got a little one. Trust me. But look, great to be back. Thank you so much. You probably know where you can follow me, just on Twitter at Loey007. And you can follow my show, The Nightlight, at Nightlight Pod. Facebook.com/thenightlight or thenightlight.podbean.com. I actually don't think there'd been any new episodes when I was last on. It'd been quite a lapse in my own show, for all the aforementioned reasons of pretty much having a child, and any spare time podcasting I had was Holy BatCast. So, but there has been some new episodes since we last spoke on this show. You and I did a Halloween one. There's been a Fandom one. There's a Christmas one. I think there might have been another one or two in there.
Did you do a Ghostbusters one? I thought you were going to.
I was meant to do one a couple of days after I did the advanced screening. But again, my really good friend who I was going to do it with has young children. He has twins.
Oh, that's right.
So
I was like, I don't remember it hitting my feed, but maybe I missed it.
No, so that literally, I was setting up the equipment when he messaged me. It was like, dude, Ellie's just projectile vomited across the kitchen. I probably should come over. So, yeah, I'm hoping to do that in the next couple of weeks now that it's out here in Australia, to catch it again and have a, well, the thing is with it too, because it's out in cinemas now, but it also hits digital in America in like 3 days. So I'm thinking of doing what I did for the Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman 84, which is jumping online, buying a ticket to see it in a theater, but then watching it at home, just because it's a little bit safer, but still able to support the movie. But look, yeah, I do really want to do a Ghostbusters one very, very soon. And I don't know if you've seen the message yet, Andy, but after today's news, I'm really keen to get that Golden Girls episode going that we were actually going to try and do last August that fell through because of scheduling again. I'd really like to try and get that recorded to hopefully release on what would have been Betty's 100th birthday. So if we can make that happen in the next couple of weeks, that's one to look out for as well.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was a bummer today. Such a bummer.
Yeah.
Where I literally thought it was like some sort of joke because, they were getting ready for her 100th birthday. So.
Right.
Such a bummer. Okay. Well, cool. Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, follow Preston, follow Brendan, and follow the show. You guys already know where to follow me. Thank you, as always, for downloading the show. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate you joining us for these chats about Batman and DC and God knows what else. Mental health and koalas. All the things that we cover. It's terrific.
And Brendan's balls. So don't forget about
Brendan's fragrant balls.
There's no other way to describe it. Like, that's what the product does. I'm just saying.
So all the important things. Thanks for downloading the show. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode, and please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Visit holybatcast.com, and again, find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. Again, the email address for the Wayne Manor mailbox is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. And as always, a big thank you to the very talented Gaurav Venkateswar. He does our theme music. His work can be found at gvtunes.com. So that'll do it. On behalf of Preston and Brendan, I've been Andy. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
You got a lot of cats.
I have a thing about strays.
Same ball time, same ball channel. For all your ball needs.
You bet your non-sweaty ass it is.
That's right. Holy BatCast. We're rebranding.